You're about to unlock the secret to reach unparalleled success and get ahead of 99% of people. In this video, I'm going to share all of the successful strategies which I've managed to use to transform my life from nothing to over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and to help me reach all of my small goals and micro goals. Now, this video isn't going to be some clickbait garbage of the top 5 tips to make $1,000 in a day. This is going to be real life transforming advice if you watch all the video and apply it for yourself. So if you want to leave all the average and lazy people behind, keep watching this video because it's going to be some real value. So the first thing you need to do is you need to be brutally self-aware. You need to kind of reflect in on yourself and think to yourself and analyze the following. What do you want? And what don't you want? And where will you be if you don't make a change towards that? Then we need to kind of observe the general populace in the world, because this is the comparison we're going to use when we start out this thought process. So we want to see what most people do and what the average level of action actually leads to, and their life experience and lifestyle. And we're going to compare it currently to our current situation. And then we're just going to lament over these thoughts and let them sink in. This is the first step that you take from that position. Now, one nice thing that I like is creating a vision, but also creating an anti-vision. Now, the vision is kind of like the hero of your situation or your story, and the anti-vision is like the villain of your story arc. So this is like the version of you which you don't want to be. So the vision is your vision for your future that you want, and the anti-vision is your future that you don't want. So that's the one that we're trying to avoid. This is a very clear way to set them both in stone as a black or white circumstance. Now, to create a clearer path towards our goal and our vision, we want to actually start writing down all the pointers on a list. So this could be like write it down in a journal, write it down on a notepad. I always write things down on a notepad, and write down what you do want and what you don't want, and you're going to put these underneath the vision and the anti-vision sections, and you're going to create it. It's like you're creating a story. It's like character arcs for each path, okay? But you're describing the paths that you could take. Left, which is the average path of the anti-vision, and the right path is your vision, which is the path less traveled, if you like. And then we're going to go on to the motivation section. So one interesting prospect that people always talk about is motivation, which is why you'll see there's a lot of YouTube channels nowadays which are absolutely massive. And motivation is a niche because people like to watch motivational videos. Now, when working out, motivational videos can be great, especially when the editors have really snappy cuts. They have really good music, which is impactful, and it kind of has really great editing to have a good flow, and that can give you motivation. But don't rely on motivation as the sole driving factor. So we're going to go into how you can create some natural motivation rather than actually using videos and material like that. Now, in my opinion, the best motivation is motivation that comes from an emotional source. So this is where you harness any kind of negative emotions you have from any situation, or any current negative or bad feelings you have about something, and you channel them into motivation. That's the best source, okay? So let's think about negative emotions or feelings that people can have in their average day in life. So where can you take this from? So let's try and think of some common scenarios and examples that a lot of people go through, so you can find what that is for you. So a lot of people have negative experiences. So this could be anything like a breakup, this could be some kind of betrayal, this could be bullying when you're at school, anything like that. These are all negative experiences, or any kind of bad life experience or failure you had in life. All of these can be channeled into positive energy, and it's a negative energy source, and these are usually the most powerful, okay? Now, if you don't have these, you need to then imagine having these feelings, because if you don't have anything to tap into, you're not going to be able to actually go into this step. So what I like to think is try and imagine experiencing those feelings, or what you would experience if you were to live out that anti-vision that we created. So if you were to have this life that you didn't want, this life that was sucky and terrible, how would you be feeling if you had that? That's going to be your source of motivation. So this could be any kind of fear, disappointment, or feelings of anger or resentment. Any of these feelings you can tap into, okay? Some of the most painful, disappointing, or shocking life experiences are the best motivation. So you need to be able to find a way to tap into that as a reserve. If you don't have it, artificially create it. And then this anti-vision you've created, this kind of like bad character, this villain that you don't want to be, doesn't have to be a bad person, just a person that is kind of average. You want to be discontent and uncomfortable with that vision. So use that discomfort you have, or you've created, to then laser in on that end goal that you have. This end goal could be different for everyone watching this video. This could be some kind of business. This could be like a fitness goal. It could be literally anything, okay? All these fundamentals apply to just general self-growth. And then this leads us on to the part where we're going to start forming our plan and building out that strategy. strategy. So from here, we want to build upon our plan that's going to take us from this beginner step all the way to the finish line of our goal. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, we want to first write down daily non-negotiables. So these are kind of things that you will do without making an excuse to not do them. So for example, just like chores like wash the dishes and things like that, those are non-negotiables because otherwise your house is going to be a mess. These need to be things about you personally or your business that you have to do each and every single day without avoiding it. Okay, so these are your non-negotiables. Then you can create a schedule based upon these daily tasks or a task list. That always works best. I use something like Notepad or Notepad++. I just list everything I need to do. Very straight and simple. There's better software you can do this in, or you can just write in a physical book. And then focus on day-to-day and weekly small incremental changes. Incremental changes, habit formations, and tasks to achieve from day to day, step by step. But don't look ahead in 3 months because that'll demotivate you, because you'll think, oh, I need 3 months to finish this. Work on the current day and the current week, but still have a long-term time horizon. Okay, because that's really important, because 99% of people give up on each and everything because they expect that instant gratification and results. So you need to realize that it does take months or years to actually reach this goal. Okay, because you're going to fail endlessly, you're going to get no success or no progress endlessly for weeks and months, sometimes a few years at a time until you reach the finish line. So that's the resilience you need to have to start out. And it's just about having this kind of growth mindset. Okay, so embracing challenges as they come and viewing those challenges as, instead of being challenges that are hard, as opportunities for self-growth. And then if you fail at those, this could be from failing in this process we're talking about right now or failing in a business, use those as learning experiences to then get better or improve for next time, or to know what's working and what isn't, and then go along a new path. Okay, so always take lessons away from failures. That's important, and use those as kind of like stepping stones to get to that vision at the end and avoid the anti-vision. Now, in terms of self-growth, learning is the number one opportunity. So prioritizing learning and some kind of self-improvement is what we want to focus on. So this is going to be allocate time for learning. Now, if you like to read, allocate time for reading. If you don't like reading, could be an audiobook, could be a podcast, could be videos, as long as they have genuine value on the thing you want to get better at or go towards. And watch valuable videos. Now, this is a trap in itself, right? Because a lot of people, they get in this value trap where they're watching valuable information, but they're not acting on the valuable information and they don't get anywhere. But it's still better to watch that valuable information and do nothing than watch things like pure entertainment videos that won't get you anywhere, because at least you have the knowledge you've learned for later when you do take action. Okay, so that's a fallacy. Just because you're watching educational stuff and doing nothing doesn't make it useless, but you need to avoid actually not doing something with the information. Now, we can attend things like real world workshops, seminars if you're like very out there and like more of an extrovert, or if you're introverted or you don't have much money, time, or resources. Time probably you will have. Then watch things on the internet like YouTube videos or online seminars. And investing in education is one of the best investments you can make. Okay, a lot of online courses are scams, but a lot of them actually have good value. All of the online courses I've genuinely paid for to review on this channel or to learn some kind of value have actually been worth it. But you want to buy those courses from people who have a proven track record. So do they have like a history of like success? Do they have like a backstory that's provable? Make sure they're not a charlatan and they're not like some marketer or scammer first of all, and they have real world results. And if they do, buying their course is usually going to be better than not buying it. Okay, there's good value in it. And then the next point, where you've probably heard this, is like another one of those parroted business quotes online where people just say the same thing. I'm going to say the same thing. You might have heard the quote like, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend most time with, or something like that. This is true, but you don't have to actually have those people in your real world circle if you don't have access to them. The beauty about the whole online sphere right now and online space is I can go on Google, type in like the niche or topic I'm interested in or want to get better at. I can find people who have already been successful in that and then just consume all the content. And that's like having like 4 or 5 mentors without actually knowing them, and then you get better at that thing. So you can actually create like a free content system you can consume and have basically free mentors, and that's what I did, and it's great for people who don't have much money. Then we want to actually remove any kind of bad influences from our life that's going to block us from actually reaching that goal. So this could be many different things. So let's think about what kind of bad influences do we have. So removing things that either don't belong in your life or that hinder your progress. So the first one is going to be toxic people. This is probably the most common. A lot of people who are toxic. Toxic's a word that's thrown around around all the time nowadays, so it probably doesn't always apply to a situation. I'm not just talking about like friends who want to play a video game with you because they are still your friends. I'm talking about generally toxic people who are negative, hold you back, or just say only nasty things about what you do, okay? Those are toxic people. Not just friends who do things which are like not very productive. Those are still friends. They're not toxic people. Then things you spend too much time on. So this could be like video games. One thing could be addictive apps on your phone. Obviously, TikTok is the most addictive app in the world, probably. So maybe remove that if you spend too much time on TikTok. And any general bad habits that you can try and avoid. Now, removing bad habits is the hardest because most bad habits are actually environmental. So you need to make an environmental change to actually negate that bad habit. If you don't change the environment you're in, you're likely going to find it hard to tackle a habit, okay? Because a habit's formed around environment. Then when we cut out bad things, we want to try and find positive influences. So the first one is to try and build up a strong network, which is actually typically quite hard. This is where you're going to try and surround yourself with like-minded people. Doesn't have to be in this field, just generally people who like aspire for great things, lift you up, try and progress in life. Motivated individuals who kind of seek growth like you, right? And if you engage in networking events or pay to join online communities, this is really great to find people. I know a few people who have like succeeded in like business and investments and things like that, but those are few and far in between, and it's quite hard to find those connections. But if you pay for like an online course or community, that's usually where you can connect with those kinds of people. The downside though is most of those are like people who are just starting, but some of those people can make good connections, and you can also join communities for people who've already been successful if you reach that point. So there's a lot of different options you can do with that to find people. There's a lot of Discord communities and Facebook groups which are completely free as well. It just takes a lot of digging deep to try and find people who are actually about it. Then for goal setting, let's explain what type of goals we want to set and what those goals are going to be. So the goals we want to set are going to be so-called SMART goals. So this is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. So we break our vision that we created earlier in this video into smaller, more actionable steps. Okay, so like daily steps, weekly steps, and then we want to regularly review those steps we've outlined for ourselves and the goals that encompass all the steps to get towards them, and make sure we're staying on track. So regularly kind of stay on top of those. And then how do we actually manage our time effectively? So there's a few different options we can do to actually manage our time efficiently, and there's actually a few different methods you can use. Now the first one, which is more popular, is the Pomodoro technique, which is interesting. I recommend trying to actually find out what that is and learn about it. Or time blocking, which everyone will know about. That's basically like allocating blocks of time throughout your day for a specific thing. Pick which kind of works best for you and use these to increase your productivity, get things done. Assign like breaks or times where you can like play games and do those things in between, or like alternate between the two. So you do something productive, then you do something fun or rewarding, and then try and alternate between those throughout the day. That's a great way to slowly get into it. And prioritize the tasks you have each day by the importance of those tasks and the urgency of those tasks and what needs completing first. Now, to get towards any kind of goal, we need discipline, right? There's things in life which are very easy to do. For an example, I lift weights, but I don't really feel like that requires any discipline. It's just a habit. But eating healthy is a very disciplinary thing, which I do have to actively put in effort to do. So those are things which require discipline. Some people find just generally working out and lifting weights to be something they're not motivated to do and they need discipline to, whereas some people find that easy, like me, but then some people find dieting very easily, whereas someone like me doesn't. So things will require more discipline based on your habits and your past track history and record, right? And developing discipline and then consistency for that discipline is going to be the biggest challenge with doing anything. So we want to create our daily routine and habits that align to this vision we've outlined for ourselves. In the philosophical introduction to this video, we want to hold ourselves accountable to all of these throughout the journey and stay committed to those goals, okay? But it's easier said than done. That's why we're writing everything down and creating that action plan so we can actually stick to it. Now we want to write down a list of our own new principles. So think of this like your so-called new avatar. The avatar is going to be yourself. When we're talking about the avatar in marketing, the customer is your avatar. Who are you marketing to? We're going to use this same philosophy to talk about ourselves. So we're going to create this new avatar, and that's going to be who we're going to become. Let's talk about diet as an example again. The times when I've been most successful with eating healthily has been when I've created an avatar to actually accustom myself to. So let's think about how this works. So I'll use another example. People who are addicts or alcoholics, they find it usually typically hard to break the habit. One big reason for this as well is even the support groups that these people have, for an example, that they go to talk about their problems with, they encourage them to identify themselves with that habit or that problem. So they'll say, hello, I am this is my problem. So they're identifying with the identity of that problem rather than creating a new identity. So that's the problem which I see a lot. So for an example, if you want to be like a healthier person, the best idea is not to say, I am an unhealthy person. You just create a habit by saying, a healthy person wouldn't do this, I am a healthy person, and then avoid that bad habit. That's the best way to get into it. That's what I found has been really useful. But identifying yourself with that negative habit is only reinforcing your mind that you are that person, and then it's just going to lead to relapse and then just bad habit formation or consistency with a bad habit, okay? And then I want to talk about calculated risk. So I find this like really interesting, and this kind of is the difference between people who sometimes don't make it and who do. And you want to weigh potential benefits or drawbacks for any choice that you make. So we're just going to use business as an example because this is the most simplistic one to understand. I have $500. Should I save that $500 and hoard it in my bank and get like 1% or less interest on it each year? Or should I spend that $1,000 on some ads that might promote my business? But the downside of that is I could lose all the money because no one may buy my product if I waste it on ads. So that's the mindset of negativity, that you're wasting the money rather than you're spending it for a potential big return. So you're usually going to have to put in a lot of risk for a big return, okay? But if you mitigate risk completely and don't make that choice, like saving the money, then getting less than 1% of your money is terrible anyway in a bank because there's inflation. So you need to think about taking calculated risk rather than playing it safe, because usually playing it safe isn't going to have any reward whatsoever. And then generally, as we close out this video for the mindset proportion of this, we're going to think about staying persistent and resilient. Keep pushing forward when there's absolutely no results, when you're not making any kind of difference in where you want to go. Keep pushing forward with it, okay? I'd always recommend to put in at least 1.5 to 2 years into any kind of plan. It doesn't have to be a business. It could be like a transformation. If it's something like fitness, you can see people can get in good shape in like 3 to 6 months anyway. So that usually takes less time. But in terms of like business and any other goals, put in like 1.5 to 2 years into something. And if it doesn't work, you've lost the time, but you've gained the experience, right? So always put in work even if there's no results. Use the setbacks or difficulties as learning experiences, and don't let the fear hold you back from opportunities, and try and create some kind of coping strategy to navigate through these challenges that arise, because there's going to be a lot of them on this journey. And to close out, obviously accept that it's all a process. Now, as with anything that we improve in life, it's always like a journey. There's always setbacks, there's always upsides, and we can kind of reach it, but sometimes there's a lot of obstacles along the way. So as with trying to avoid the trap of instant gratification and instant results, which we talked about earlier, building yourself personally or your business or working towards any kind of goals, it's always a work in progress. If you talk to anyone who's successful, they always tell you, I'm a work in progress. That's because they're always trying to improve. So it is kind of a real thing, as is with the game of life. So accept this as it is, welcome it as a challenge, and treat it as a game. And that's probably the best mindset you can have with it. This is why I really like the ideology that a lot of people have, where like they say life is a video game, because the idea of like working towards a new achievement, just like achievements in a game, and leveling up is a lot more rewarding than the virtual counterpart, right? So it's a really cool mindset to actually have, and it kind of makes it seem like a game, and it makes it more fun doing real world things. So that's how I like to typically look at it myself. So this has been a little bit more of a different video where I just sit down and talk about like philosophical stuff, speak from experience, speak from things that I've just learned and applied, and like mindset. I think this is a really interesting topic. Probably won't get like a lot of views, but I think some people can find value from it, which is the most important thing. So if you enjoyed this, smash the like button and subscribe, because I'll be bringing more videos like this real soon, and I'll catch you next time.